As part of the Sony reveal and certainly here at E3, we've got Driveclub and we're joined to discuss what is Driveclub?
Well, Driveclub was actually an idea that came to Sony Evolution Studios about 10 years ago. And the concept was a socially connected driving game where everything you do matters.
Yeah.
You know, everybody feels involved and everybody can contribute. Kind of over the years, we've been waiting for that sort of eureka moment. And then PS4 arrives. And we're like, you know what? Now's the time. Let's take the wrapper off. It's time to get Driveclub out there. So what Driveclub is the idea of working together with your friends for sort of collaborative goals. Now, how that manifests itself is, if you're that hardcore race that's, you know what, every single lap I'm shaving off a tenth of a second, I'm razor focused on the racing line, I'm hitting my braking points, the handling model has the depth to support that. You could be that kind of racer in Driveclub. Now, if you're the kickback, chase cam, drift around every single corner, just having fun in a car, Driveclub supports you too. Now, if you're in a club together, if you're the guy setting those fastest times and winning races, you're earning fame. And that's contributing to your club. If you're the guy that's kicking back and just doing cool drifts, you're also earning fame, and that contributes to your club. So, because the experience sort of scales itself to your skill set and the way you like to play, and what you want to bring to Driveclub as a community, you're always involved. You can always contribute. You're always valuable to your club. And that's the real kicker for Driveclub. That's what you get out of it.
So are we talking more arcade? Are we talking more sim? Where's the balance here?
The balance is kind of, in terms of accessibility, is if you're, you know, somewhat au fait with a racing game, you've played one before, you can pick up the pad and you can put in a somewhat successful lap. Now, the depth in the physics model and the depth in the handling is all there. Like I said, if you're that guy that wants to be chipping, tenth of a second off every single lap, kind of like myself if I admit it, you can get that experience. Now, the way that plays out in the E3 demo like we've got here today, if you're the fastest guy on track, you're not doing drifts. You know, you're sticking to the racing line, you're precise. So you're placing high on the time leaderboards, which contributes to your club's success within the challenge. If you're the kind of guy that's kicking back and doing drifts and just styling it out with your car, you know, sort of rocking it out, you're also contributing to your club because you're earning fame.
Yeah.
And that stacks up as saying, well, no one's more valuable than another. Everybody's involved. It's still a competitive game, but there's something in it for everybody.
Okay. Well, what sort of tracks are we talking? Are we talking race tracks? Are we talking through cities? I mean, where will you be spinning those four wheels?
Well, the whole idea behind the locations in the game was, if I had the ultimate garage, if I had the world's greatest cars, where would I want to take them? You'd want to take them on the world's greatest driving roads. So it's that sensation of driving like a rock star, you know, the thrill of driving. If I get into this supercar, I want to be flying down a mountain at 200 miles an hour. That's the way that we've gone about selecting the locations that we want. So it's really getting that sort of variety across the world and kind of presenting the player with the locations that they'd really want to take these cars.
And what range of cars will we be looking at?
Each car in Driveclub is handpicked. So the way I explain this is, you've got a wallet full of money, and you're going to go and create your sort of own perfect garage of the most wonderful cars throughout the world. You've got a limited budget, but these are the greatest cars. These are the ones you just want to own. That's what we've picked. And they range from, you know, hot hatches sort of thing, you know, starting you out easy. You've got something incredibly quick, but sort of at the bottom end of the spectrum, right up to something like the hypercars. You're doing 260 miles an hour. So there's a broad range of content within Driveclub.
It's like official licenses?
All of the vehicles featured in Driveclub are officially licensed cars.
Now, you mentioned at the start of the interview about how PS4 came along and it just felt the right time. Sony approached you and explained through what the connected world that they'll be pushing on PS4. I mean, how does that come across with Driveclub on PS4?
Well, it's all essentially, you know, being first-party studio. The whole development process, both for Driveclub and PlayStation 4, has been symbiotic. It's been us talking to Sony and saying, you know, this is what we want to develop. This is what we feel like the gamers want. Sony talking back to us and saying, we agree. This is what we're looking to develop. This is what we're looking to push. This is what we understand gamers want from their next console. So as that sort of relationship developed, and as Driveclub sort of expanded from the initial concept into what we could deliver as a feature set, we see that we can identify what your preferences are. We see that we can push you content relative to your skill level. We see that we can connect you inside and outside of the game. We see that it ties into expanded social networks. That manifesting itself in Driveclub gives you that enriched racing experience where, like I said, if you're not the greatest driver in the world, there's something in there for you. We target what you're doing in each race, so it's valuable to you. You're going to enjoy yourself. Everyone comes away with a smile on their face.
Well, how's the club made up? We're mentioning about you earning points, whether you're drifting, whether you're taking that perfect racing line, but how elaborate on that? I mean, what is the club? What's the look of it? What's the feel of it?
So a club is essentially a group of like-minded racers that generally want to be racing together, want to have these shared collaborative goals. So we have a maximum of 12 players within the club. We kind of settled on that number because it scales really well. Say you've got a club of 2 people, we can still make that work in terms of competition with a club of 12 people. We're going to go into specifics at a later date, but the way that we're managing it is pretty cool. So that sort of thing ties into the concept of you can have a different type of club. Like if I want my club to consist purely of, like I said, razor-focused lap time guys, then you'll have those clubs. If you want these guys that are all kicked back, styling out with their cars, it's all about smoke pouring off the tyres, you'll have those kinds of clubs. If you want a club that's just a mixture of your friends, you can have that. And it's all down to your own personal preference. You can make that club whatever you want it to be.
Can you be part of more than one club?
Currently in Driveclub, you can't be in part of more than one club, but the reason we wanted to focus down on that was we want people to sort of develop a sense of belonging and develop a sense of identity. There's nothing stopping you moving in and out of clubs and sort of changing your allegiances, and as you develop in Driveclub as an individual, deciding, you know what, I want to associate myself with these guys, I want to move in with these guys. There's nothing stopping you from doing that, but because of that, we wanted you to have some sort of connection with the club that you're in. And whether or not it's, your extended social community, whether it's your friends or just other people that you've met that are, into similar ways of playing Driveclub online, that's the way we wanted to approach it. So you can only belong to one club, but it's worthwhile because of it.
Well, what's the theory that in a multiplayer game you're just racing against members of your own club? I mean, does that all just keep adding up? There's no competitive sort of edge between?
It's completely down to essential player perception. Like you might have some clubs that essentially all the members are obviously within the same club, but they all just play single player races, against AI. But your progress is shared. You might have clubs that only do club challenges, but your progress is shared. You might do synchronous races online. Your progress is shared. You might race with one another, trying to one-up one. The gameplay experience is driven from the user perspective. So however you want to mold your club, however you want to progress, however you want to play the game, you always contribute to your club, no matter what you do.
So within the club itself, though, you could have your profile stacked against another member of your club. Is that competitive sort of like head-to-head thing?
Exactly. I mean, we have information about like what your fastest laps are, what sort of drift scores you've accrued, like how well you've done in races, like win-loss ratios. And, as we progress at this point, we haven't gone into too many specifics. We can expose that sort of information to the player and enrich their sort of gaming profile in a way within Driveclub.
Okay. The racing space is quite a large one, but there is quite a few other companies that are introducing themselves into this sort of connected world of races and stuff like that. How do you sort of factor in, how do you see those guys, how do you view the competition?
I think the way that we view the competition is we pitch ourselves in as a different experience. Like I said, the origins of Driveclub have had time to sort of gestate and grow and develop and draw themselves in both with what PS4 is, what PSN is supposed to be, what the general gaming community look for, and how people interact. And because they've all sort of come together in this, culmination of everything, we know that we can deliver the sort of ultimate socially connected racing experience on PS4 launch.
There's talk at the conference about the sort of connectivity with PS Vita. Are you guys sort of implementing that with Driveclub?
We are supporting second screen. So if you've got a Vita and you've got Driveclub, you can sit in your bed with your PlayStation downstairs and play Driveclub.
Nice. Okay, structure. You've got the Driveclub. You've introduced friends into it, but Is there a career path? You mentioned sort of challenges there. How's the game split up?
So the way that you can, an easy way to break it down is, say, we'll call it offline, so kind of single player. So you can race against AI and do races across all the different locations. We've got asynchronous, which is the challenger system, which is essentially what we're displaying here at E3. And that can be solo challenges, so me as an individual, I send you or a group of people a challenge, sort of winner takes all in that scenario. Or you can have club challenges, which is my club versus your club, who's going to come out on top, somewhat like we've got in E3. On top of that, we've also got our live races, which are essentially fully synchronous. Everybody's in an online session racing together at the same time. We've got the whole gambit in Driveclub.
With collecting points for your club, I mean, is there any sort of end game with that in mind, or is it just like a stacked leaderboard, worldwide leaderboard?
It's essentially, the comparison between clubs kind of comes down again to like personal preference, like how you approach the community. So you'll have some clubs that are all about, you know what, we want to be maxing stuff out, we want to be tops of leaderboards, we want to be showing off and comparing ourselves to other people, because that's how we feel about our club. You'll have other clubs that are, say, in a way more introvert. It's kind of like, you know what, we're doing well together. It doesn't matter what's happening outside of our club, it's all about our own progress. And you know, as we go on from this point in development, more of that information will kind of get released to the public, and you'll get a better idea of what we've got in planned. Yeah.
Is it possible to tune the cars?
We've not announced anything about that at this point in development, but there may be more information at a later date.
At the Sony conference, they announced Driveclub PS Plus edition. Can you elaborate about what that is for us, please?
Yeah, sure. So the PS Plus edition of Driveclub is essentially the entire feature set from Driveclub. So if you've got a PS Plus subscription, you will get Driveclub for free. Now, the version of Driveclub that you get is a slightly reduced amount of content in terms of locations and cars. And the reasoning for that is that we want to get it in your hands and start building that community from day one. We want clubs being created, we want players issuing challenges, we want people doing online races, we want people doing offline races. We want you earning fame no matter how you want to do it. And we want it happening straight away, because the game's all about community, it's all about the players, and it's all about the clubs.
So it's all the features but less tracks, less cars.
That's exactly right, yes.
Well, between now and the actual release date, what have you guys got left to do?
It's all about the polish. I mean, from this point onwards, you see the Driveclub in the state that it's in right now. I personally think it looks amazing. Everyone that comes away from playing it has got a smile on their face. Everyone seems to be enjoying it. It's all about building upon that. And like I said, it's all about the community. For us, this is almost like the ultimate testing session. If you can get real gamers on your game, playing it, and seeing how they respond, see what they like, what they don't like, it allows you to mold the game from here on out. And that's what it's about. It's all about the clubs.
Excellent. Listen, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us.
Thank you very much.